Welcome back everybody to another DBS video here with Chris, and today we're going to be going over a deck profile for one of the most anticipated leaders of set 12, which is Mecha Frieza, the reboot version of Mecha Frieza. This leader, I believe, was the first leader to be banned in the game. For good reason. It was extremely powerful, extremely overpowered for how the game was. There wasn't a lot of counterplays, extra cards weren't really a thing in some cases. And Cold Bloodlust was not limited to one. So the deck was extremely powerful. But I do believe that this leader can single-handedly make yellow a top tier color, at least with this leader. Maybe not overall, but this leader can definitely change how the meta is played currently right now. So make sure you guys like and subscribe. Let me know what you guys think of this leader. Let me know if you guys are going to be playing a variation of this deck. This deck profile here is a kind of just an overall view of what I think the deck could look like for just the generic cookie cutter version of the deck. I think there's different variations of this to play, and obviously I have my own variation of it that may have some of the cards in this video. Maybe some of them I kept a little bit secret. That way when I make a deck profile for you guys will be able to see it. So what this leader does here, permanent on the unawakened side, is you can only activate extra cards from your hand once per turn. Note that it says extra cards from your hand. That is something to keep in mind for the future. Permanent, when activating a mono yellow extra card from your hand, you may add one card from your life to your hand. If you do, reduce the cost of the card by 1 yellow. So what this means is you can only activate mono yellow cards with this color. That's why it says mono yellow. But if a card costs 1, you reduce its cost to 0. If it costs 2, you reduce its cost to 1. If it costs 3, reduce the cost to 2. Obviously, you can get that. When this card attacks, draws a card. So you also get to draw a card when you attack. Very, very strong. When you have 4 life or less, you can restand 1 and draw 1. And now we get the Mecha Frieza Resurrected Monarch. Really cool art as well. Permanent, when activating a mono yellow card with an energy cost of 2 or less from your hand, you may add 1 card to your life. From your life to your hand, if you do, activate this card without paying its energy cost. So what that means is that this card costs 0. So 2 drops and less costs 0 as long as you take a life. Now obviously once you're at 4 life, you can only do this 3 times. Are you really going to want to do that a lot? Probably not. But there's ways in this deck to maybe add life back to your, to your life pool, and just kind of keeping you at that healthy 4 or 5 total, and you can possibly use this once or twice here. But whenever you activate a mono yellow extra card from your hand, choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards and switch to the rest mode. So you have built-in. You basically have a built-in, almost like a Zamasu super combo built-in. When you activate a yellow card extra, you can tap something else. So whether it's a negate, you can tap a battle card. Whether it's a counterplay, you can tap a battle card. It's extremely, extremely strong. So we'll go into the first part of the build, which is going to be the spell engine. Now, with the spells, there's obviously a lot of yellow spells. There's some that I didn't add into this video, but these are just some of the more here and now, what I feel are probably the best extra cards that you can use. Obviously, take that with a grain of salt. So you have Cold Bloodlust, obviously, which is the extra card that got errated or limited from the old Frieza. Whenever your opponent plays a battle card, you can negate its skills for the turn. So you can activate this card for free from your hand. It is a 1 of, so you probably don't really want to use it more than, you don't want to use it on something really, really small, mainly for, for secret rares and things, but it does work on Fu. That's something to keep in mind if the games end up going longer than turn 4. You have Release from Evil, which blanks a card that's attacking, ignoring barrier, and you can activate it for free, whether you have a Unison in play or you can just play it out for free. Giant Ball is kind of the one that's being pushed out a lot. That and the Universe 9 Assemble here. Giant Ball, 1 cost where you can target a battle card without a barrier. So this happens on the counterplay step, so they can't have deflect, but also they can't have barrier. So when they play it, you switch to rest mode and draw a card, and then you take a card from your life. So it's a 1-drop, tap a card, draw 2. Really, really strong. The problem with this card is that it doesn't hit deflect, doesn't hit through deflect, doesn't hit through barrier. So it's really, this is being used super early, maybe for like Red Broly and things. But I actually don't think this card. I don't think you should be buying this card currently. It's like 12 bucks. It's not worth $12. When it drops, maybe back down to a $2-3 mark maybe. Possibly, but right now, Giant Ball, it's not super worth it to pay for, but if you have them already, obviously use them. The two that I think are probably the two best for this deck is Trinocle Blow and Universe 9 Assemble. Trinocle Blow is it counters a lot of things, but it is a pure counter to Red Broly. So what I mean by that is if you look at this card, if your leader is yellow, battle card being played it has a energy cost 3 or less. It's played with its skills negated for the turn. Then choose one of your opponent's battle cards or Unisons and negate their skills for the turn. So on turn 0, when your opponent decides to play out their $60, $70 TP Broly, you play this, take a life, negate all its skills for the turn. They can't go up the chain. It's pretty strong. Next turn, when they play the 3-drop, when they swap into the 3-drop, play it again. Negates all its skills for the turn. You just bought yourself 2 turns of no Brolys. Really strong. Really, really strong. And also, if they play other battle cards, or if they play their Unison, maybe their Piccolo Unison, maybe the new Piccolo Unison that's coming out, you just negated skills too. So now they can't add markers to it. They can't use any abilities on those cards. Or you just pick another battle card. They can't use that ability either. It's really, really, really strong. The other one is Universe 9 Assemble. This one is definitely worth it. It is a 2-drop, activate main, activate battle. That says draw 2. And then if all of your opponent's energy is in rest mode, you get to choose one Universe 11 card from your deck, the energy costs 2 or less, and play it. So essentially, on your front side, you pay 1 for this, you draw a card from your life, and you draw 2 cards, and then you play a card. So it is a 1-drop, draw 3, play 1. Extremely good value. Extremely good value. Yeah, and it's an activate main, activate battle, so you can activate it on your opponent's turn as well. So you can activate this and then tap a battle card with your leader ability. Just insane. And you get to play a card out. And we do play a card that you can play off of this, but obviously you can play, there's 2 or 3 other Universe 9 cards that actually have pretty good value that you can play off of this, but we're only playing the best one in this version. And then Flying Nimbus as well. You pitch a card, play this, negate the attack. If you pitch a card, you can stop your opponent from attacking with battle cards, except for 1 more for the turn. So they get 1 more swing with battle cards. And then you can use this to tap a battle card. So you can just remove another threat off the board as well, if you really, really wanted to. These are just 6 of probably the better ones you can run. Like I said, Giant Ball being, in my opinion, the worst out of these 6. You can run Crusher Ball as well. Crusher Ball is really, really good. So this is not a necessary one. Release from Evil, kind of the same idea though. You can run the Vegeta Final Flash instead. But like I said, these are probably the 2 worst. These being the 2 best. These 2 just being staples that you should run regardless of what other ones you're running in the deck. Now for the main battle card engine, we are running the Draftbox-6 Lord Slug engine, because it just has more energy manipulation, more resource manipulation. So Lord Slug, energy cost of 1, play him, draw a card, and then you can pay 1 yellow to put this card in the drop area to play 3 or less Lord Slug from your hand. It says 3 or less, so you could technically do green, but we're not running any green in the deck. So we have these 2 cards here. So you have Angela, the Graceful Warrior, and Lord Slug, Super Namekian. So we are running a 3 of Angela and a 4 of Lord Slug. In this deck, I feel like Lord Slug is a little bit of a better card, but you can run 4 and 4 of each. You can run 3 and 3 of each. I think the more of these you run, though, just it is better for the deck. So Angela, he is a unique crit 15k. Bond 2, when your opponent has 4 more cards in rest mode, when this card attacks, your opponent chooses 2 of their cards in rest mode, and the chosen cards cannot be switched back to active mode. So your opponent chooses. And your opponent could choose 2 really bad cards, but if they have only energy and leaders and Unison in rest mode, they have to pick 2 of those. That's not really a good thing. So they choose either 2 of their energy or 2 of their battle cards or their leader. So they have to kind of choose their own fate there, which is why I'm saying running it as a 3 of is probably better, because it's not as good as this effect, which says Bond 2, when this card is in rest mode, your opponent cannot draw cards, add cards from their deck to their hand, except for using leader abilities. So Awaken, their leader has an ability that draws cards, or their leader attacks. Apes, super combos, other battle cards, apes, it doesn't matter. They cannot draw off of anything else. So, and it has barriers. Your opponent has to swing into this, and then that's when you use your negates and you use other things to stop your opponent from attacking. It's pretty good. Honestly, it's probably one of my favorite cards that came out of Draftbox 6, and currently it's going up in price. and probably will reach the $10 mark pretty soon once Mecha Frieza starts getting played, so buy them now if you don't have them. This card's going to be pretty insane. Now go for the Unisons here. So the two main Unisons that we're running in this version of the deck is Makikabra and Purunga. I know it's very, very strange to think. But Makikabra, kind of self-explanatory. He's a 4-drop, draws cards, you can take control of your opponent's cards, you can tap more cards with it, and it's a blocker, gives you a lot of value later on in the game. Purunga is kind of a different one. Purunga came out of the Giant Force box, obviously by the Giant Force name here. And what does Purunga do? So he's a 1-drop 15k that cannot attack, but he has Activate Main where you can add cards to this marker. You can add markers to this card. I said that backwards. -1, you can draw one, or choose one of your opponent's battle cards in rest mode, and it can't be switched to active mode until the start of your next turn. It's pretty good. -3, choose one of your opponent's battle cards in rest mode, negate its skills, and KO it. It's really, really strong. So this is a 3-drop, technically, where you can drop this card for 3, and then just KO something in rest mode. If something has indestructible, like they're playing that stupid Draftbox for Zamasu, you just KO it. You remove its indestructible, KO it. But also it's a really, really good draw piece. So you can just play it out for 1, uptick, and then -1, then draw 1. Or you can just uptick and just keep upticking until you stay around that 3 or 4 marker range. And then you can just always uptick 1 and draw 1, or uptick and keep a card in rest mode. Lots of value there. And I think it's really good because it is a strong 1-drop alternative to, I think, the better Unison, which is going to be the Bergamo here. Bergamo is also going up in price. I think it's like $6 or $7 right now. So if you can't get if you can't get your hands on a full set of Bergamos to run, or at least 3, just play Purunga. He's $1. He's still really, really strong, but 1-drop Unisons are really good. 1-drop Unisons are, obviously we know how strong the Demigrail Unison is, and having a 1-drop Unison that can go up to 15k or more, or around the 15k power marker is incredible. These cards just can give you so much value, and this being able to draw you cards and set you up for your Unisons, all your Unison stuff to be available in play, or being able to play Bergamo, which gains 3k for every marker on it. So when you play it, it goes up to an 8, and then you use his active main to add another marker to it. So now he's at 11. So he's already out of range of your leader being able to attack him, which is really strong. When your opponent attacks this card, it adds a marker to it. So when your opponent declares an attack on this Bergamo, you add a marker to it. So if it's at 3 markers, which would be what 3, 9, so he'd be at 14. If he's at 3 markers already and you add another marker to it, he goes up to 17. And now your opponent has to combo to get over it. Or you can activate a blocker, and then the attack goes away. So it's a really strong card. The more markers this card has, the stronger it gets. So, and it's a 1-drop, which makes it just have so much value to it. -2, you can play out a skillless 2-drop or a Universe 9 enter cost of 2 or less in rest mode. That's not as good as Universe 9 Assemble, because we don't really want to play our card out in rest mode, which is why, like I said, you can kind of switch between these two, of which one you would like to run. Next set of cards is going to be our value engine. So this is going to be the big chunk of what the deck is. 3 Basil Raid Page, 3 Vegeta Unisons, 2 Grade 8 Raiders Warcries, 2 of the Mask Saiyan Overrealms, 3 Bergamos, and 4 Zamasu Super Combos. So the Zamasu Super Combos and the Bergamos go hand in hand. You use the Zamasu Super Combo to tap battle cards or leaders. And when you tap those, you play out Bergamo for 2 energy, and tap 2 more energy, or tap cards with Ignoring Barrier, and then you get a 20k on board. Very, very strong. Basil comes out for 1, or you can play it out from Universe 9 Assemble. Draws a card, and if your opponent has 5 more cards in rest mode, this card gains 15k in dual attack until the start of my turn, which means he's a 19k on my opponent's turn, which makes him very, very hard to kill. This card is extremely expensive right now. It's like $27, $28. Don't buy it. It's getting reprinted. If it drops to like between the $15 and $20 mark, maybe buy 1 or 2 if you don't have them. But don't spend $30 each on these cards. It's not worth $30. They're just getting bought out currently. Vegeta being your free counterplay, it allows you to tap a card and it has blocker. And Raiders Warcry being one of the just a solid, cards that have been out forever since Draftbox 4. This is a good example. So this is a Draftbox 4 card. This card was $50, $60 for the longest time. Once it got reprinted, this SR version of the card is, I think, $8 or $9, while the reprint is like $5 or $6. That's what's going to happen to Basil. Basil is going to get reprinted. It's going to happen. And Bergamo is getting reprinted as a revision pack in set 12. So every box is going to have a box topper. You have a chance to pull a Bergamo. So his price will probably drop a little bit because there will be some more Bergamos on the market. Basil will drop a lot once his reprint comes out in the Battle Evolution, which we'll talk about in a different video. The overwhelm that we run in the deck is Secret Identity Mask Saiyan. So overwhelm for 6, you can remove, was it 5? 6, I'm sorry. You can remove 6 energy total worth of battle cards on the board, which for decks that have a lot of small cards, like Red Broly, when they're playing a lot of blockers, you can pop the 6-drop, or you can pop, I don't know, all the Bas. So it has a lot of good value there. Truthfully, in this deck, you need this because the deck doesn't have a lot of removal. You have a lot of tapping ability, but you need good removal, so that's why Secret Identity Mask Saiyan is just so good. Now, for the endgame cards, this is where we get a little strange here. So, we're using 3 Frieza Divine Transformation, which is a new SR out of set 12. It's going to be a money card, I guarantee you. It is a Deflect, Double Strike, Blocker 25k that has a permanent that says your opponent cannot remove this card by their skills. So it technically kind of has barrier as well, in a sense. Cannot be removed by your opponent's skills. When this card is played, there's an effect where you can flip a card that's face up, face down, but we don't have that ability in this deck. But when this card is played, you choose all your opponent's battle cards in rest mode and KO them. That's really strong. And then auto, when this card, when your opponent activates a counter skill, you may choose 2 of their cards, switch them to rest mode, and they can't be restood till the end of your next turn. That's insane too. So not only do you have this card that can tap stuff, you also have Angile, which can permanently tap stuff. You have your Purunga that can permanently tap stuff. You have your Makikabra that can permanently tap stuff. You see where this is going. There's a lot of energy, a lot of battle card tapping. Also, this card can restand at the end of your turn. That's the first time. I believe you can only restand this card on the turn that you play it. So you play it, does any of its effects, then you get a 25 double strike swing, and then you get to restand it, so then it becomes a blocker. Really, really strong. This Frieza here, I was looking for another like late game target, and this is the only one that I can find, but I think it actually is a pretty cool card. So Golden Frieza Resurrected Terror. It's a 7-drop for 6 energy. That's a lot. The game's probably never going to go that far, but it also is a piece that you can pitch for Flying Nimbus if you need to, or if you're never going to get to that point in the game, you choose it as a 10k combo. But it's a 30k triple strike. When this card evolves off of another card, place all rest mode battle cards except for this card in the drop area. Then choose all active mode battle cards and switch them to rest mode. That's insane. So you can KO everything with this. And let's say you survive that next turn. Opponent has a ton of battle cards in rest mode, or they just have a ton of stuff on the board. You play this, and then you KO everything in rest mode. I'm sorry, you place them all in the drop area, so it doesn't KO them. So they're just being removed by a skill. So you place them all in the drop area, and then and then you switch all active mode battle cards to rest mode. So technically with this, you want to swing with all your battle cards first, and then evolve into this, and then it places all the ones in the drop area, places every card in rest mode in the drop area, and then switches everything else to rest mode. And then you have a 30k triple strike. Cool kind of game ender that you could use, but that's why we only have one of them in the deck, just because, you know, it's not something you really, really want to do. Turn 6, you'd probably rather play Fu, but I mean, it's a cool little thing that you can do. Next is going to be the secret rare, which is going to be the Supreme Kai of Time, Space-Time Unraveler. So this is the new Supreme Kai that's coming out of Draftbox, out of set 12. I wish with the Draftbox card. And this is probably my favorite ultimate in the game, I think. Truthfully, I think this is just an amazing ultimate. So when this card is removed from your battle area, you remove it from the game, so it doesn't go to the drop area, it doesn't go to the warp. Activate main for 1 colorless. You can choose this card and all your opponent's battle cards and Unisons, and send them to the owner's warp. So this is a unison removal, which is nuts. So this card, you choose this, and you choose all your opponent's battle cards, obviously that don't have barrier, or don't have the ability to be removed from the battle area by skills, and you send them all to the warp. But before that, you have an activate battle for 1 colorless. If you have 3 or more energy, play this card from your hand. If you do, your opponent can't attack with leaders or unisons for the turn. This is a you can pair this with your Flying Nimbus to basically just stop your opponent from attacking at all. I know the Baby Hatchiyak obviously is a much better unison, or much better secret rare for this idea, but we don't run blue, so we can't run that. So this is just a naturally good just negate, stopping leaders from attacking, stopping unisons from attacking, and then we can tap 1 and just remove everything off the board. So really strong card, and this is kind of what our late game kind of resides around. I'll give you guys kind of an overlook of what the deck could possibly look like here, and you guys can kind of see for yourself on all the cards in their entirety. So this is just kind of a overview of what a deck could look like. This is a 50 card deck here. Obviously some ratios are a little bit different from what I was showing, but this is just kind of an idea of what the deck could look like going into set 12. But that does it for me in this video. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. Let me know if you guys are hyped about Mecha Frieza. If you guys are not hyped about Mecha Frieza, you guys should be, because this is going to change the meta. Regardless of what anybody says, this is going to change how the meta is played. Anything that plays smaller battle cards that tries to accrue advantage that way, whether it's Red Broly or Vegex or any of the smaller decks, this is going to cause a problem for a lot of people. People who aren't on the bandwagon yet, they will be. Mark my word. So make sure you guys like and subscribe. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.